Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever it is, wherever you are, welcome to the Good Values Podcast. In this episode, I'm going to be speaking to Ayisha Jay. I met her a week before this conversation that we had here, and I thought she was really nice, really pleasant to talk to, very friendly, and really good at explaining her motivations about her work. So I asked her to be on an episode of the podcast. She agreed, which I was overjoyed with. So here we are. This is the first guest of the Good Values Podcast. Let's take a look. Yeah, so if you don't mind, for the viewers, if you could tell us who you are.
Hi, I'm Ayisha Jay. I'm an art student in Coleg Menai. That's based in Park Menai. I've only been in the college for a year, but I have done art from a child, but I never really wanted to do it until I decided halfway through August last year that I should do something with my life.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So what was it which made you decide to do art then if you didn't want to do it beforehand?
Well, the reason I didn't want to do it beforehand was because I had a horrible teacher in school, and no matter what you did, your work was never good enough. Yeah. And I didn't like that. So by the end of year 11, my entire project was based off Mickey Mouse, and she didn't like that because she couldn't control what I was doing. So I did the entire thing myself, did the exam. Well, I was meant to do the exam, they wouldn't let me do it. Because it was the very, very beginning of COVID, and because I had a cold, they sent me home. So it's like 2020 in March.
Yeah.
So I couldn't do it, and I was fuming. So I never did my exam. I have all the work, everything. Never did it. And I think I did travel and tourism when I left school. Hated that. I don't know how I ended up there, but I ended up there. And then I finished the travel and tourism course. It was like I did 1 year. It was meant to be 2 years. And my social worker was like, oh, why didn't you do art? I was like, oh, I don't want to. So I was going to do Open University, and then halfway through August I was like, oh, we'll just sign up for it and see what happens. And then I'm here.
Excellent. So that's, you're not the first person who I've heard be put off by art from a teacher. So they're really bad for having a big effect on the direction of your life, really.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see that you've course corrected really yourself and just decided to go for it, because you seem very artistic, and your work that I've seen is beautiful, and it speaks volumes for your ability to create work. I wanted to ask you about the Mad Hatter's Tea Party. That was more of a theme which I saw you exhibit.
Yeah, so
can you talk a little bit about your work? Because I'll show images as you're discussing it, really.
Originally, I was really stuck because everyone was like, oh, I know what I want to do. And I was stuck thinking, I have absolutely no idea where I'm going or what I'm doing or how I'm going to do this. Because everyone knew what they were like. They did either a fine art, photography. I had no idea. I didn't know what I did. Right. I was like, I just do it. And so we went on some trips, and then I saw some sculptures, and it scared the hell out of me because I was like, I like this. And I didn't want to admit that I liked a certain art because I was like, oh my God, I know what I'm going to do. So I started looking at the most randomest subjects. I just picked nature. Like, I just thought of 20 different things, and then I looked further into it, and I picked Wonderland as one of them. I don't quite know where that came from, but I think somewhere in the work before that I started drawing mushrooms, and I knew Alice in Wonderland had a mushroom forest, so quite a lot of my work started interpreting mushrooms. I was like, oh, we'll do Wonderland. I had no intentions of going down that road because my first idea was emotions, and I wanted to make like a wire head with it open, and like the head was clouds and like, things were coming out the head to resemble how I see things. Yeah. But I made like a little clay body as an experiment, and then I just made a hat out of nowhere because I got bored. I was like, I can't be bothered doing this. I'm going to make a hat. And then once I made the hat, I kind of got a little bit obsessed with it and started doing like a mini photo shoot with my friends, having a laugh, even though it was meant to be doing work, but college never seemed to bother about that. And after I went through the photos, I realised my theme was the Wonderland. It just made sense on how it was complete madness, And then I found like teacups, and I started looking further into it and like doing studies of everything, looking at the cartoon, not the live action. As much as I like the live action, mine was more based off the original. So it wasn't really based off Alice. It was more based off the Mad Hatter. Because I came up with the book, as I told you before. I love that book more than anything. And I kind of saw it as like the Mad Hatter had pulled his nuts. So I thought, oh, he's just drugging everyone. He's like, he runs it. He runs it. Because I don't think I know anybody who has a tea party just because, why not? So I thought, you know, it kind of makes sense. If it goes from emotions to this madness of Mad Hatter running around giving people drinks and treats that make you small and big. It's a bit strange, but it really fits.
So it's kind of a crossover of sort of living freely and going with the flow of things, and also that kind of wacky experimentation that can kind of introduce itself. I mean, the thing which I've written down after Mad Hatter's Tea Party is mushrooms, because I saw on your Instagram account a row of mushrooms, and I thought it's a nice aesthetic. I've drawn mushrooms before because they're a beautiful looking you know, fungi. So
funny enough, actually, I've always like drawn mushrooms, and people are like, why are you drawing mushrooms? I don't know, because I want to draw mushrooms. And they're like proper cartoony mushrooms, and I like the realistic detailed drawings, but I can't do that.
Me too. No?
I do cartoon style, which I only realised in that project, because I tried to draw the white rabbit, and I had like a cartoony rabbit, and I hated it. I was like, this is not how I want it to be. And then, funny enough, even though I looked into mushrooms and the Alice in Wonderland, I decided not to put that part as a project, because it had been so much in my past work that I thought it'd be better just, like, not there. I felt like it would, over the year, it kind of was building up to this point. So I thought mushrooms, and if I put mushrooms in that little box, I don't think it would have made sense. It wouldn't have fit. It wouldn't have, it just would have looked a bit odd. I watched a documentary on Netflix called Fantastic Fungi, which actually has inspired me for my next project in September.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah, so see where that goes. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're a real kind of creator of kind of sculptures to an extent.
Yeah.
I mean, not sculptures as in like clay sculptures yet, not that I've seen, but sculptures as in you will make things out of either paper or, like you said, you'd made out of a book. You'd made a book into almost a cabinet, which was just brilliant and beautiful. I don't know where you'd got that idea from. In all honesty, I don't think I quite know myself. That's great.
I think what I visually see things. So if I'm trying to think, I'm like, how do I see this? And I saw like this book, and it's almost like, I remember in stories, you know when you've got like that millionaire and he's got something behind the painting? It's like a locked away. And I thought, how cool would it be if you picked up a book and it had something in the back of the book that you would never look, like a book you wouldn't even pick up. Something you would have no interest in. And this person's like, oh yeah, I love reading this. Everyone's like, that's a boring subject. And it has this like magnificent thing in the back that is, I don't know, maybe stolen or something, like something from like a villain's backstory or something like that. Yeah.
Well, I've seen one thing. It's nothing like a cabinet, but in a film called Hard Boiled, which is a Chinese film, there's a scene which I'll always remember where one of the characters goes into a library and he has to find a specific book, and when he does, he flicks through the book and it's been cut out and it's a gun inside of the book.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's like that. Yeah,
it's nice little secret stuff where people had never expected. So, really creative. Well, okay, that was just a random thing where I thought, because I've got also, aside from that, free spirit, because I look at your Instagram and you seem very much like a free spirit. You're kind of very much a partier and a lover and an expresser of complex emotions and things, you know. So it's not all love and light. You do express some of the more conflicted emotions that you experience.
I am very straightforward, and I know some people like on their Instagram, oh, look how pretty, or something like proper petty, and I'm just like, some of the things I like poetry lines. I think there's one thing I said is, I'll love myself more than I ever loved you or anybody else. And I can remember my friend saying, what is that too blah blah blah. I was like, no, it's just the world. How should I have to love somebody else more than I love myself? Because I learned as I grew up is that if you're going to give somebody more affection than yourself, you're going to end up, you know, losing who you really are.
Yeah, so, you might devalue yourself a little. And that's a scary kind of slippery slope, isn't it?
It's not good. It's not good.
No. So it's good for you to actually have that certainty of you come first, and then anyone else, you've got enough in your heart for everyone else. But
some people see it as selfish, but I wouldn't say it's selfish. I think it's just a case of realising who you are, because once you know who you are, it's easier to really see people. Like, if once you know who you are and you're done with taking everybody's, whatever they're going to give you, karmas get thrown at you from everywhere. And, once you go through certain things and it teaches you a hard enough lesson, you notice it beforehand, and you're like, nah, I'm backing off from this.
This is perfect, because the podcast is going to be called Good Values. As in, good values as a person, and the values of artwork as well, as in the contrast of light and dark and mid-tone.
That's how I wanted my original emotions piece. I wanted to really show people that I wasn't just this fully happy person that's constantly out of her mind. That I am, like, there's so many things that I don't say, but I chose not to do it because part of me didn't want some people that I still know to see it, because I thought they're not ready to know who I am. Because I think I'm more afraid of telling them who I am. I think it's mainly because I still live in that environment, sort of thing. Yeah,
it's makes you very vulnerable to open up that much. And you are still, that's your first year exhibition, is that right?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
It was very impressive for a first year exhibition. I really liked it, and I took a lot of photographs and shared them with students that I speak to from my uni that we've just finished, and showed them as an example of what we didn't see and didn't experience, and just to kind of show them the high standard that you're bringing really from your course.
Funny enough, you say it's high standard. I kind of felt like mine was underneath its own standard, because I always look at everybody else's and I'm thinking, I can do better than that. And I remember saying the other day to my friend, I was like, I'm going to be the best next year. I was like, hold on, I am the best. But I didn't mean it like harshly. I was like, I'm going to do this work, and I'm going to bring something to college that they did not expect that much work off me.
Yeah.
But I always do that. I've always got so much work, because I'll never forget in the assessments. Some people have like one piece of work on their wall, and my wall's covered, and I'm like, are they missing something? And I'd stress for them, because I'd be like, yo, where's your work? And they're like, that's it. And I'm like, where is it?
Well, yeah, it was nice to see how much work, because even though your work got reduced down, because your work wasn't as explosive as I could tell it would have been.
No, so annoyed about that.
It was very much contained within a cabinet and a certain idea, but you could see that what you'd made, there must have been work that led to that and led beyond that.
There was so much more that was going to go into it, so much more.
Yeah.
Like, if you looked at my sketchbook, you could tell the amount of things that were considered and the amount of, like, studies and all sorts that it was going to do. But I think because I was a first year, they couldn't possibly give me what I wanted, or didn't understand. Because I don't know if you walked into the second year's part, and they had, like, little rooms. Yeah. I wanted a room! I so wanted a room! I think if I had a room, I would have developed my work further, and it would actually look like the Mad Hatter's office sort of thing.
Yeah.
But they kind of was like, oh no, the cupboard will do. And I was like, okay.
Makes you wonder. I mean, maybe they did want to control how much they let the first years really.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure why. They said it would just be too busy. But I think it's where they were originally going to put me, or why it was too busy. But so yeah. Oh well, next year we'll see if they let me have a room.
Yeah, it certainly wasn't underwhelming. When I walked through, I was very much impressed by a lot of the students' work. I mean, most students' work that I looked at, I thought was really creative and looked very professional. I was impressed by going into your school and seeing what you were producing, especially at such a young age. And it was like your clocks, as well as your little teacups. You've made like clocks, which are just beautiful constructions.
Most of my work is always like quick and ready, like rough and ready, like let's go, it's done, boom. I'm also like I think my work's very experimental, because the hat and the clocks and that were experiments. So when I did the clocks, I had to repaint them to like tidy them up, and the teacups, oh my god, I am never making them again.
They looked great as well.
They look great, but my finger was blistered from the craft knife trying to glue I had to fight with the glue gun, burning myself. I always tend to work with a glue gun with quite a lot of my work, and the amount of times I've burnt myself with it, I just can't win.
I wanted to ask you about who your influences are, not who necessarily, but what your influences are, as far as, is it film, is it artists, is it TV, is it other people, or how do you get your influence?
In all honesty, I don't think, because when this actually came down to artist research in the second block we were given the first year, I didn't like it, hated it, because I didn't look at artists thinking, oh yeah, I want to recreate their work. I wasn't like type of person to be like, yeah. I'm like, I don't look at artists very often and get influenced by them. So when at the very beginning I didn't look at artist research as very helpful, I thought it was pointless. Until I got further into the year, and then I started to realise it really does influence you. And I think my inspiration and that, it's just, I'm not quite sure in all honesty. I think it just depends on what I'm doing. I think if I know briefly what my idea is, I'll look for something similar and go from there. But I remember in the exposition, there was somebody who did these little stick men. I'm not sure if you saw those. And they were adorable. Fucking, I was like, I want them. I want them. So I tried to make one last night. It looks like a horrible ghost. It looks horrific. It is horrible. And my mate was like, I want it. I was like, no, you're not having it. So he made his own one.
Oh,
and
that's
now
brilliant.
I want his.
It's like a chain of different people making a derivative of the first work. That's great.
They're really so cute. I was like, who thought you could make stickmen into real life? And they were like dead cute. And I think it depends. If I really, really like something, I suppose it really inspires me. Nature, I've always thought like really beautiful, but it doesn't inspire me very often. Like I don't look at a flower and think, oh, I could draw that, because I'm not a drawer. I want to make things. So I came across a couple of people on social media. Somebody did like cups, ceramic cups, like mugs, and had like Halloween ones, like handmade stuff, and I thought that is really interesting. So I'm gonna put that into my sketchbook, because I found it like intriguing how she made these cups, and when they were done, they would look so beautiful. I was like, I could totally want one of those cups. Mainly the Halloween ones. I think that's what caught my attention. And then there's somebody else I came across. She was a ceramics person as well, and she made like teacup sets, but based off nature. And there's one with a mushroom.
Wow.
There's a mushroom set, and it's really unusual the way she's made it. Like it just is the way the cups look that you wouldn't think they were a teacup set, but they're really interesting. I remember in the very, very beginning of the year, told us to look at some sketchbooks, and I remember emailing some artists, messaging them, and they were like, oh, we don't have sketchbooks, sorry. And it was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So I went to my dad and asked him for the tattoo portfolios.
Excellent.
And I took that, and I did some work from that. So I think it's really based off what I'm thinking of doing, or if I come across it. It depends really in the moment.
Yeah.
So, people always find that one artist inspiring. It's like, I need it in the moment.
Yeah. Well, what I found out of my 3-year course that I just finished, inspiration becomes, you don't need to look anything like their work. It's just if they make you want to create. So one of my inspirations is Vincent van Gogh. Even though my work is nothing like his work, couldn't be further away, because I do really clean ink drawings, and he does really messy paintings, not messy in a bad way, but he does it really unorthodox, layered. But I love that, that really makes me want to do what I do, even though it's nothing like it. Or say Stanley Kubrick or something like that, and I'll make something like this for uni, even though it's nothing like a Stanley Kubrick film. It's kind of trying to do blocks of light and stuff, and inspiration can be quite a random thing, and influences. Yeah. And it doesn't need to be a direct influence. So. Yeah.
Funny enough, I remember the first year they told us, go around, draw a map of the place. Yeah. I was like, why are we doing this? This is pointless. But we did it anyway. Yeah. And then I came across this square on the floor that somebody spray painted. Like, they must have been spray painted a piece of paper or something. It was really colourful. And I'll never forget that, because I started doing this, like, really colourful square.
Oh,
and I had, like I drew it as if it was like the paint was dripping off, and then I tried it with watercolours. I'm not sure. I know you wouldn't have seen it because it wasn't in my. I did a poetry piece based off it, and I photocopied it because it was from the first, like in the very beginning of the year. But I couldn't recreate it the way I did it. Yeah. So I photocopied it and wrote the poem over it, and it was. What I did was I drew the square and I put the watercolours as if they were like dripping down, like it almost looked like coral. coming from the
nice.
square.
Yeah.
But when I blended it a little bit with the water, it kind of leaked into the square.
Oh, wow.
So then it sort of looked like this like mirror. So like for Alice, the Looking Glass.
Yeah.
It kind of reminded me a little bit of that.
Oh, brilliant. That's amazing.
So it's really strange how I just saw this colourful square and that was it.
Yeah.
Most of my project was based off colourful squares. Worthless Reflection, written on the 1st of the 4th, 2022. Watch me beg for you, beg for your attention, beg for your approval. I'll rip myself apart to be perfect for you. I'll starve, I'll rip my hair out, I'll change everything. And I fucking hate myself. I get bored of looking at the same girl that stands in the mirror with tears in her eyes. You know my name, not my thoughts. You know my body, not my heart. By Ayisha Jay. Desire for the Devil, written on the 1st of the 4th, 2022. They say tears of an angel, I say differently. I'm an angel sent from hell, I'll ruin your life. I thrive off your attention, and I'll stab you in the back. Watch me cry to you, then laugh in your face. 1 minute you're everything, the next you're nothing. You'll obsess over me, your head filling with desire. All the while, I'm using you as an escape. You'll love to hear my voice, but you'll never listen to my words. By Ayisha Jay. Drowning Thoughts, written on the 1st of the 4th, 2022. There is so much going through my head, so f***ing much, yet I never say a word. I just want to scream into a mirror, scream at someone, scream at the top of my lungs. I want to let it go. I need to escape. I need to breathe. I'm one step away from disaster on every decision I make. I know it'll kill me, yet I still do it. If I told you everything, would the guilt die? By Ayisha Jay. I never forget when I was doing some work for Yuan and we'd done portraits of charcoal.
Yeah.
Hated drawing, hated it. And then he said, oh, you could do whatever you want now as long as it interprets something has something to do with you. Everyone was doing some sort of portrait. I did loads of colourful squares with little things to do with me in the colourful square.
Excellent. That's really good.
And most of the paper was like white and he was like, do something with background, do something with the background. I ignored him and he hated it. I was like, no, I'm doing colourful squares.
Yeah.
I couldn't do something with the background. I couldn't spend that much longer going in between the little lines to paint.
Yeah.
Again, because I'd just wreck it. So I just left it white.
I think a bit of rebellion's healthy. I think for you to know
I do that quite a bit.
Yeah.
Especially with tutors.
Motivates you, I think is a good, healthy thing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I've always noticed with tutors or teachers, they always try to guide you. They're like, oh, that looks nice. And they say certain things almost like to try and get you to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm doing this.
That's the best thing to do. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's really good.
A lot of people are like, oh, they're making me do this. I'm like, I'm doing what I want. They can't stop me.
So I'm going to come to the question, which I think that you might not have an answer for, but let's see what you do with it anyway. What can you imagine is your future in art?
See, I have absolutely no clue, because when I think of art, I think, oh, not many people have a career in art because, like, it's the type of art I do. But then I've seen, like, when you go in the Range or Dunelm, and they've got, like, that proper, like, sculpture art for, like, the bathroom or something. I'm thinking that's pretty, but it's not my style. So in all honesty, I have absolutely no clue. But I could, if I wanted it as a career or a business, I could make things and sell them, like that book for example.
Yeah.
Because somebody would say, oh, you could change it. I can't remember who said it. Was it you or was it somebody else? I don't know. Somebody mentioned to me that I could make different versions of that book based off movies or whatever. And I could sell them. And I was thinking that would work really well, but they'd have to have it as an ornament.
That wasn't me. That's a good suggestion. Yeah, that's a really good suggestion. It wasn't me.
So if I wanted to do that, if I eventually got to the point in my life where I was like, I'll make some money for myself, I can do that.
Absolutely.
But right now, I don't entirely know where it's heading. I thought I'm just going with the flow. So after next year, I'll probably go to university or something, but I don't quite know. See where I end up. Okay,
so I suppose the next question I'd like to ask is, what is the most beautiful thing you've seen today?
I'd say the rose over there. That's the only thing I can think of, because I haven't really seen anything that's really made me think, oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Unless you can consider my bedroom floor, because I was trying to tidy it, but that's about it.
I must admit, I'm one of those weird people who thinks that there's beauty in everything.
Yeah, there is
almost
beauty in
everything.
everything.
There's kind of, I suppose there is the dark crevices of things where it's harder to find beauty, but but in almost, as in a dirty bedroom floor is beautiful to me because that's naturally become that way. You've not staged it.
Naturally.
That is kind of there is artists who do that.
Yeah. I think it's probably beautiful for everyone else because they're like, oh my god, is that Aisha's bedroom floor? But like, yeah. I don't know how it ended up there, but it's still alive somehow.
But it's
still purple.
Well, it's like if I were to do a painting of it, I think people would look at that and go, that's amazing. Especially if I'd done it from more of a, like a bird's eye view or something,
Yeah, because my room's so messy, you'd have so much to look at.
Exactly. There's going to be all different types of textures and objects, and it's going to be a composition of itself.
I feel like depending on what you're looking at and what you're trying to recreate depends on who the artist is, because say if they're a simple artist, they could do it very simply, and people who like that, it's beautiful. Yeah. If you like complication and things to look at, and like, I don't know, Where's Waldo?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Where's Waldo like that? Here, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what his name is, but you have to look, and I love those books as a kid because you'd see so many different things.
Yeah,
it's like they were so interesting. I suppose for somebody who just likes to see it as it is, that's their beauty. But if you like complication and seeing the little things and everything else in between that, then that'll be your beauty. Yeah,
I am one of those people who thinks that there is beauty in everything. So when I'm stuck in traffic, I'll quite happily just look out the window and think, I wonder what that colour is, and like, how would I paint that? And what's the, you always
I like
notice
people
things.
Watching as well. I always find people watching. I'm always there watching people, and everyone has you always think, they have such a different life, and it's so interesting.
Yeah.
And there is beauty in everything, but I suppose depending on what I want from it, depends on how I really view it. So, I like clouds. They're interesting.
They are.
I can't. And people will see things in clouds. I'm looking at them like, I can't see it. I can't see it. I can't see it. I just see fluffy things.
Can you see things in your imagination? So if I were to say picture an apple, can you actually visualise an apple?
Yeah, my imagination is the most vivid thing in my life.
Is it?
I could, even if I couldn't see anything, that'd probably be my strongest thing.
Wow.
Because that's how I see my art. Like with the room, I had to think how do I see this working out? And then I drew a little sketch, like the simplest sketch. I had the little cupboard. So what I did was I stepped away from the thing and I tried to envision it in this little box I had. Even though it may not have been there, I did my best to think about where I was and how I'd see it.
Yeah.
And my friends have always been like, if they, people go out getting drunk and that, if I tried hard enough, I could probably make myself feel intoxicated, even though I'd be completely sober.
That's
so
true.
I think my imagination is probably the most powerful thing on me.
Yeah, I believe that. I mean, I discovered in, I think it was last year, it could have been this year actually, I'm not sure, but I did a podcast episode about aphantasia. I don't know if you've heard of aphantasia, but it's a condition where you can't picture things in your imagination. And I didn't realise I had it until we discussed it, and then I thought, wait a minute, I can't picture an apple. If we say an apple, I'll just say, yeah, it's green, yeah, it's got speckles on it. I'll be...
How could you do that?
Do you know, like, how... Because my example was, if I were to say to you, oh, the other day I went to the hospital and it was one where the reception's downstairs, so I walked past the reception into a lift, and you're following what I'm saying without seeing what I'm talking about. So you can kind of follow that. That's what I do. I kind of do it as far as the concept as opposed to the visualization. Wow. And I draw from imagination. Like I'm better at drawing without a reference than I am with a reference. Very strange. So I only just discovered that this year, I think it was.
Wow.
Aphantasia. So that's why I asked.
I could never. I don't even know if I don't know if I'd be able to get on with my life with that, because my imagination has been so much of me as a child. Like, I play on my own everywhere. I'd be talking to myself. I'd have the little teddy. Oh.
It's strange.
Do that.
It's a spectrum. It's some people see a flashing image. So if they try to imagine something, it'll flash up and then it'll disappear. Some people it's fuzzy, like it's out of focus, and some people it's just nothing, which is what I've got. Where there's just, I close my eyes, there's nothing there. There's no image at all. It's just looking at the inside of my eyelids, So
Wow.
weird.
I've never heard that. That's so interesting.
Aphantasia, yeah, it's a strange phenomenon.
I suppose
That's
it really
why I
shows
asked.
you how everyone sees the world as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's strange. But it's strange how I didn't realise I had it until we did that episode. And I started to do research and think, wow, do I have this condition? So anyway, that's a strange thing, which is why I thought I'll ask you if you can actually picture things in your imagination. Yeah.
Wow.
Strange. Then the other question that I'd like to ask, and this is that what's the most beautiful thing you've seen today, is a question which I've asked to so many professionals that people in the live chat on professionals' videos when they stream will recognise me and will recognise that question. If somebody else asks it, people will say, that's Simon's question, because I always ask, what's the most beautiful thing you've seen today?
Yeah.
To the point where they think I'm trolling, you know. But I do think that's a great question to ask yourself. The other one is, what do you like and what don't you like about the work that you're doing at the moment?
Right.
It's challenging.
I've got to have a look at this now.
Yeah.
I've got very little in it.
Yeah.
I've only got that much so far, but for a project that's not due until September, I think I've said quite a lot.
Yeah.
I think what I don't like is that my sketchbook's very plain at the moment. That I still need to do some work, but that's because my printer doesn't work. What I like is, though, that I'm going somewhere with it. I don't entirely know where. I have a brief idea. I've got, like, examples that I can go from, like, artists, like, picture references that I'm going to try and recreate in my own way. I suppose it's, like, I know I'm definitely going to do it something based off mushrooms. That's definitely the thing.
Yeah.
The mushrooms are coming somewhere from it.
Yeah.
But I think what I like most about it is that it's a summer project. And that I have the entire summer, like an extremely long period to do this. And I'm really excited to see where it actually goes. Because it could start off here but end up somewhere completely else. Because our theme is a journey.
Yeah.
But I think quite a lot of us didn't understand that, because I had to read the paper about 4 times to understand. So if it's wrong, it's wrong. I can't do anything about that. Not my problem. But what I think I don't like is that I'm not in college. I don't like doing my work at home. But I've always, when I've been in college, like, I've got to make something. That's what my head's at. And when we were sat around doing nothing for the exposition, I was so bored. I was like, I want to make something. And I have this box, like a huge box full of stuff at the beginning of the year. And everyone was like, why did you do that? End of the year, everyone had their own box. I was like, told you. Told you. And
Like
I was
a
like,
visionary.
you got a box? I was like, I asked you for a box in the beginning of the year. But I'm going to come prepared this year. I'm going to buy some storage shelves. Like cabinet or something. Because trying to rummage through a box eventually gets a bit
like
too
a
much.
Treasure chest where you're just throwing things over your shoulder.
Literally, I found all sorts. I found toothpaste, I found a spoon. Like, I'd start bringing you breakfast and everything. I had like some cereal and a bowl and some milk. Do you want some food? I'd have a box of food. It's like I was living there. I had a blanket.
So do you think it's the space that when you go to this space at college, that is a space that you consider to be where you do your work and it's productive?
It's my studio sort of thing. Do you know everyone's got like their own art studio sort of thing?
Yeah.
That's my space.
Yeah.
Nobody can come in and start changing my work. It's mine. Like, no. This is where I work. You work there. Yeah. I can put dangly things up like I did last time. I had like a dangling mushrooms, little like bunting, and everyone's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm making it my house. So you really make it your own space.
Yeah. Was it the space where I saw you exhibit, or was it a different space?
No. You know where the canteen doors were?
Yeah.
There, but those doors are always closed. So when we're working, how you walk through foundation and level 2, those were closed. They're boarded up.
Yeah.
So they're boarded up for us to work in. So you've got obviously your separate classes, but during the exposition we open them up so you can walk all the way through the college.
Yeah.
And we're not allowed in the BA honours course because, you know, that's the thing. We're not allowed. I don't know if we're not allowed on the foundation, but I haven't really walked in there. But
yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, that's interesting. So where I've seen you exhibit is basically further into that room than where your studio space is.
What the tutors do is we have to have all our work done by, say, the date on a Monday, and then they're going to see what we have. Even if it's not fully finished, they need to know what we have, and they have to figure out where to put it, because some things might look okay next to something else, or may look slightly odd next to something else. If you had to like, I don't know, textiles, fine art, graphics. I don't know how that would work, but if you don't notice, there's quite a few graphics with each other, and you had quite a few of the 3D pieces in one area, sort of thing. So they have to choose where things go and how best it is to fit there.
Yeah, that's curation, I suppose, isn't it? Where you curate an exhibition to complement each other. I mean, do you have do you consider your work to have a colour palette? The colours that you prefer, do you always use purple, or do you always use, is there anything where you... No?
I've never heard of that one before, but thinking about it, quite a few people do. I know, I can understand how somebody would, but I don't. I think it depends what I'm doing. Yeah. Like, in year 11, my colour palette was monochrome, so black and white. Yeah. It was strictly that, because that was my theme. Yeah. And I think it depends on what I'm doing. So if I was doing Mickey Mouse, I'd obviously stick to black, white, yellow, red, because I've done that quite a few. It depends on what I'm doing, I guess. Like, I know with the clocks, I didn't pick certain colours. Like, I had to pick a specific colour I could paint over enough time so the cardboard would hide. So like black, that black I didn't like, because it was the college black. It dries shiny, it's not nice. And then when I've painting over the wood, like the drink me labels, I've did like a brown watercolour, painted over it to give it like a slightly darker tinge, like it's been like, I don't know, like it's the brown was like really white brown, like really bright, and it was too bright for me, so I painted it like with watercolour to darken it. The drink me bottles didn't really have a colour, as long as they were in your face sort of thing, as well as the like jelly beans and that. Yeah, that's true. So I suppose it depends on what I'm doing and how I view it and how I want it to be. So
you did a good job of grouping it, because we discussed that at the time, is that you grouped it together to complement each other.
Like, I had to look at different things, and some of them just didn't work, like, at all. Like, if I put, like, the orange with the beans, they just didn't work. So that's why I put the black with the coffee beans and that, because it made the little white nuts stand out. And then the colourful jelly beans and Skittles, I think it was, I'm not sure, I put with the blue, because the blue looks slightly black, but when she looked at the jelly beans, it kind of made the, like, tinge of the blue come out of the bottle.
Well, I've got a theory of why that's worked, and it's colour theory, which is, if you look on a colour wheel at which colours complement each other, with blue, it's either got to be yellow or orange, and you've got those colours in the jelly beans quite highly represented. So it was, plus if you've got something which is light, you want the other opposite colour to be quite dark. And you had quite a dark blue, and you had quite light yellows and orange. So that's why I think it worked. But the fact that you figured that out through intuition was really nice to see, because you're not...
It was just sitting there and looking at it thinking, that doesn't work, but that does. And I was thinking, why does that work, though? Like, having to, like, properly think about it. And that's the problem, because people look at it and like, oh, that's simple. It's like, it's not simple. You have to think about so much and how you're going to make them.
I mean, your hair has got colour theory in it, because you've got red and green, and they're the opposite ends of the... Well,
it's meant to be pink and green, but
it's pink, but I'd say that pink is a kind of shade of red. What I'm saying is that, as far as on the colour wheel, pink being part of red and green being on the other side, they're complementary, but they also vibrate.
People think they're Christmas colours, and it's like, when I first got it, it was like bright pink and bright green. I was like, it's not Christmas colours. I even went and changed all my earrings, so this side was pink and then this side was green. So I know, because I tied my hair up one day, I was like, wait, which side is pink and green? Because I think it was a night out before I went. I think it was the day after I dyed my hair, and I was going out, and I had this green dress, pink fishnets, and I proper colour coordinate. I had this, like, I deliberately bought bright coloured eyeliner, the colours I needed, and I was like, wait, which side is which? Because I was going to put pink on this side and green, and I had to, like, look at my earrings, because I didn't know, and I was like, I knew I did this for a reason.
Oh, brilliant. Well, you're doing a great job of, figuring that out and feeling it, because you're actually working out how it makes you feel with the colours, and that's how you're finding what works and what doesn't. So it's fantastic. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do next, and I'm hoping that you'll come back on again for another episode.
Hopefully, yes.
Discuss your work and anything else which has changed or developed, or thoughts and feelings. But thank you so much for being on the podcast. And where is it people can find you? Want to find your work?
What do you mean by that exactly? Do you mean
If
like
anyone wants to see your work, have you got it up anywhere where, do you want to give out your Instagram? Do you want people to see you on Instagram, or at the moment, are you
Instagram? Yeah, because I know quite a few artists put that out on Instagram. I don't really do that unless I really like. I think this is my exposition pieces on there. So my Instagram is probably the way to get to me. Or sometimes I randomly put things on Snapchat where I'm like doing art. I'm like, yo, it's so colourful. Or I made like I had this hat on my head. I had the hat on my head. I was like, yo, I've got a hat.
Yeah.
Like, I've just been an idiot sometimes, like, some god-awful pictures of me, and it's funny, because I don't care.
Yeah.
And I've just put them on there, and I'm thinking, yo. Definitely my Instagram, though, but if somebody wants to see what I'm working on, they'd probably either have to contact me. I don't know if you could walk into the college when we're working, just, like, through the school term, I'll say that. I don't think you can. But definitely the Instagram. If somebody wanted to know what I was working on, I'd probably do that, but I might even start putting it up on there now. I'm not entirely sure.
So what's the name of yours on Instagram? Is it just Ayisha Milne?
It's my username is ayisha.jay.xx.
Oh, okay. Excellent.
That's my username, yeah.
Yeah.
And I know on Snapchat I started calling myself Shroom Babs. No, Shroom Babby. Nice. I'm like 5'1". It's like, yo, I'm tiny. This works.
Yeah.
And funny enough, I've still got some of my Halloween outfits on there from October as well, so that's something I think.
Yeah.
But I'm going to upgrade it this year. Upgraded it this year.
Well, like you said, you quite like the acting and performance side of things, so you can see you've got that kind of outgoing personality.
Yeah.
Which is really nice. Excellent. Okay, so I'll put the link in the description for your social media, and anything will get updated in the next episode that I see you. And until then, I just want to thank you for being a guest on the podcast, and I'll keep in touch and speak to you again soon.
Thank you very much. It's been an excellent experience.
No,
not something I've done before, but I'm very thankful.
Yeah.
And I hope you enjoyed the art exhibition as well.
I really did.
Pretty sure we were spinning around on chairs or something. I'm not sure what we were doing.
You were a great host, I have to admit. You did a great job of introducing me to your work, definitely. So
thank you.
Right. Lovely talking to you.
Thank you very much.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye. All right, so that's the episode done. I thought she was a lovely guest, and I can't wait to get her back on again. If you did like the podcast, then please leave a like, and don't hesitate to comment down below if you've got anything to say. Love getting comments on the channel, and they've always been really nice and helpful so far. So please contribute if you've got anything that you'd like to see in the future, or if there's just something that you'd like to share. Also, consider, if you haven't already, subscribing to the channel. Ring the notification bell if you want to be notified of the latest uploads. It's my intention to upload every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. That will be art videos, which are at the moment going to be an ink drawing on Monday, a life drawing on Wednesday, a painting on Friday will be a painting, and also a podcast episode on Friday as well. So, if you can join and support the channel, I'd really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you in the next one.